Hey guys, and welcome to another movie review. Don't mind me being nice and cozy in my robe here. It is night, and I'm just comfy. So, anyway, if you clicked on this, obviously you know what movie this is for. And no, this is not an April Fool's prank. It's not. Although, originally the whole reason I saw it was I thought I was going to April Fool's prank myself by going and actually paying money to see this movie on purpose that I've done nothing but complain about ever since I heard it was in production. Honestly, I thought, maybe if I get drunk and stoned first, it'll just be an experience, and I won't even care how bad it is, because, I mean, we've all heard the reviews that have come in so far. But what I did not expect was that the April Fool's joke unto myself ended up becoming that I didn't hate it. Like, just let me get that out of the way right here and now, first thing first. I think this movie is getting a very unfair amount of hate. And no, that is not because I was high and drunk. No, I'm being dead serious. Dead serious. Now, I think a lot of the hate comes from Rachel Zegler's extracurricular attitudes she had leading up to the movie coming out. And you know what? Yeah, throw all the shade you want at that. I'm not here to critique that. I am on the same page as all of you about she was out of line on all of that, okay? I agree with you. 110%. Don't come at me. But because everybody was just in such a negative headspace from all of that, and all of the negative stuff surrounding it leading up to it, that I think a lot of people just wrote it off before they ever went and saw it. And I think a lot of people are still writing it off and saying these things without even having seen it. Now, I remember back when that shitty Arthur remake came out, I boycotted that, and I boycotted it hard, and people gave me crap over the fact that you can't hate on something that you've never seen. So I went and I watched it just so I could hate on it. But I figured this was going to be like that, where it'd be like, okay, once I actually go see it, then I can, without shame, complain about it. But here's the thing, I'm not. I'm not going to, because actually, this isn't the worst. This is not even close to the worst thing I've seen. It's not even the worst live-action Disney has done. I don't think you can find worse than that live-action Pinocchio that they did a few years ago. I think that one still just takes the cake. No, for me in the hierarchy of the live-action ones so far, I would place this maybe like one peg down from the live-action Beauty and the Beast. And I went and I saw that in the theater too, back when that came out. And it was fine. I mean, there was a lot of things that I would have done differently, but it was fine. I still enjoyed it. And the same exact thing can be said for this. Is it the greatest piece of cinema? Hell no, but none of us expected it to be. Not a one. But it is also not the worst thing. Honestly, I enjoyed this quite a bit more than I thought I was going to. And I figured if ever there were going to be a live-action Disney movie that I would be harder on than anything. And let us not forget, I'm Little Miss super, super, super critiquey over all of the live-action ones. It would be Snow White. Because let us not forget, all growing up, Snow White was my girl. That was my favorite Disney princess of all time. Ariel and Belle held the candle until I saw Snow White. And then she just, like, knocked everyone out of the way and I never looked back. I had a moment of deference with Elsa, but I came back, ultimately. So, anyway. If ever there were one that I would be super hardcore critical of, and be really protective over what they've done with it, it's this one. And I think it was why I was so knee-jerky and just reactionary, even leading up to this thing. But having seen the finished product? Dude, I'm glad I went into it with an open mind, essentially. I think the state of mind I went in with led me to be a lot more open to it than I otherwise would have been. So, let's just... I'm gonna just say it, because there's no other way around it. But I know a lot of people are making, like, the racist-y kind of comment about how can it be Snow White if she's not white? They freaking explain it away in the opening minutes of the film. And I'm here to tell you, you know what? There is multiple versions of the Snow White fairy tale, and this actually is canonical to one of them. That Snow White was born during a snowstorm. That is one version of the tale. Granted, the one that Disney previously ran with for the animated one wasn't that one. They ran with the one where it's like, skin white as snow, hair black as ivory, lips red as the rose. But that's not what they did here. And it's okay. It's actually fine. Because I guarantee you, within like 2 or 3 minutes, you're not even thinking about that. At all. At all, at all. It never even crosses your mind again. So, it's kind of a non-issue, really. I mean, I think the only people who are going to take issue with it are people who are actually racist. So, you know, there's that. I will say, though, in the opposite direction of that, I think they may have added a filter to her skin to make her look lighter than she actually is, because I know what Rachel Zegler actually looks like, and most shots in this film, it looked like they did something to lighten her skin tone a bit. Not entirely, but it's there. It's there. So that's... I don't know if they were trying to appease the people who were gonna complain about the skin tone thing. I don't know if that was just the look they were going for. Don't know. Frankly, don't even care that much. It is what it is. Non-issue. Let's move on. So, at the start of the film, Snow White's a little girl. The king and the queen are still alive. No evil queen at this point in time. Her actual birth parents are there. And they are a loving monarchy that actually love the, I'm not gonna say peasants, villagers, what would I call them? Denizens of the kingdom? What is the word I'm looking here for? Oh my gosh, it is later than I should probably be filming and my brain is not working. You know what I mean, right? Regardless, they love them, and every year they make apple pies for all of the citizens of their kingdom, which is really cool, and they just give them to them. Therefore, there is a running theme of apples. Yes, if you've ever seen the original, you know exactly why that comes full circle later, and actually, in this one, I kind of appreciate that they added in that detail because it does make it come full circle later versus just being like a really random ass, of all the things you could have cursed her with, you cursed her with a poison apple. Okay? This at least explains why they went with that. But anyway, so time goes by, the mom dies, they're very sad. They're in mourning. King remarries. She is now the evil queen. She hides it from him, but obviously she's like power hungry, this, that, and the other. She has to do away with the king so she can take power, and then basically throws the whole kingdom into ruin. Everyone is under her spell to serve only her and are basically brainwashed. Snow White is basically stripped of her royalty and is subjected to becoming a servant in the castle, like scrubbing floors and stuff. So she grows up. The people more or less forget that she even existed. And I mean, it's so bleak that, like, we see this one guy break into the castle to steal potatoes, of all things. I mean, it is a European fairy tale, so maybe this is taking place in Ireland, I don't know. I think it's actually a Germanic fairy tale, if I'm not mistaken, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's stealing potatoes. She's trying her best to, like, be fair about this. Because that's one of the things, is that in this version, she is not dreaming of love. She is dreaming of the ruler that her father taught her she could be, who is fearless, fair, brave, and true. He even gives her a locket with that engraved upon it, which some might write off as cheesy. I thought it was sentimental, but I'm a sentimental kind of person, so I actually liked that detail, personally. So, the evil queen finds out that he is stealing from her, and this does not go well for him. She wants him thrown in the dungeon, and Snow White kind of throws a little bit of a fit over this, not like in a bratty kind of a way, but but the punishment should not exceed the crime. That's the law of the land. So, of course, she decides, fine, strip him of his clothes and string him up to the palace gates outside, where he can freeze to death. Because that's so much better, right? But he manages to get away. He'll become important later. But yeah, so that's a whole thing. And I think it's like the start of Snow's realization that she's gotta do something. Either get out of here or, like, overthrow the queen. She needs to do something because this is wrong. The whole thing's wrong. Of course, there is still the magic mirror. And the magic mirror is still telling the evil queen who the fairest one of all is. And this is where it does get a little murky because, like, the way that the mirror means it, I think they do mean it the traditional way. But, like, the way they mean it for Snow White now means the other form of fair. So it's like, huh. Okay, we didn't think this detail out that far, but it's alright, it's forgivable. Again, this is a children's movie. It's not meant to be that deep. It's fine. So, things go on. Eventually, the mirror tells her what it always tells her, that, oh yeah, the fairest one of all is actually Snow White. So she is in a jealous rage. I have to say, if I haven't said it already, because, I mean, I've been babbling for 12 minutes, I don't remember all the things I've said already. Actually, the worst part of this was not Rachel Zegler. She actually was fine. Her acting was not bad. Or her singing, for that matter. But the one horrible actress in this was Gal Gadot. I said what I said. Like, her delivery was horrible consistently through the whole thing. Even when they gave her a villain song, it just... No, it didn't work. It just, they tried pretty hard even, but no, just, no. Most of the actors in this were fine. It's just, Gal Gadot really drags down the entire effing thing. But, and on a side note, while we're on this topic, the music in this is kind of 50-50 between songs from the original film and then original ones written for this. The ones written for this kind of suck, not gonna lie. It is what it is, but I'm also not the target demographic here. So, maybe kids of today love this shit. I don't know. But, of the ones that they kept from the original film, which they didn't keep all of them, they threw a couple away, like the I'm Wishing song. That is nowhere to be found in this. But most of them are still intact. And actually, they added on to them in a lot of cases. Like, they added verses and things where I'm like, okay. Actually, this was done in a way where it doesn't feel stupid to me. This feels fairly faithful to the original while modernizing it and building upon it. I'm not mad at that, actually. And again, like I said, Snow White was my all-time favorite Disney movie, in terms of the princesses. All-time favorite Disney movie, period, is still Lady and the Tramp, but I still refuse to watch the live action of that. One of these days, maybe, but... Anyway, so... Now that we got that out of the way, Magic Mirror out Snow White as being the fairest one of all now, so of course, Queenie wants her dead. the usual plot ensues, gets the huntsman on board to go take her out in the forest and kill her. He takes her out in the forest, she's picking apples, and he's going to do the deed, and then he cannot do it, just like traditionally it goes down. They have a dialogue, he tells her she needs to run. It gets a lot more intense than the original one. I mean, this almost got to, like, Samuel L. Jackson levels. So I was like, maybe dial it down a couple of clicks. Like, we could have accomplished the same thing without going quite that hard. But alright. So she runs. I take a little issue with what they did with, like, the scary forest scene. The way it was depicted in the original was effective in it doing it what it did. In this one, between the shitty CGI and just, in general, some of the artistic choices, like, all of a sudden just, like, red light through the tree, like, really? No, this loses a lot of the original vibe of that one. It just comes off feeling cheesy. That is one of my big pet peeves with this version of it, was actually that specific sequence. Most of the film I actually don't take issue with. But that little bit, which, I mean, granted, it's only like a couple minutes out of the whole film, I do take issue with. And speaking of the CGI, while in most parts of the movie, it's not a problem, there is at least 3 different points in the film that it's almost like whoever edited this together for, like, the backgrounds, they didn't notice that it went out of focus at, like, several different points for a couple of seconds and then comes back, but only the background. It was like, whoever was in charge of that, you're fired. But anyway, again, minor nitpick, but I noticed it big time, even though, I don't know, maybe it could be fixed by the time it eventually gets released to Disney Plus or, like, physical, but for right now, it's like, ooh, that's rough, they could have fixed that, ooh, for how much budget they put into this, I can't believe they didn't catch that, oh boy, this is one of the little rougher areas where you can tell they rushed this in certain spots, but anyway, that aside, the scary forest scene culminates with glowing eyes in the dark that turn out to basically be Bambi. It's just a deer. Just a deer. Looking demonic as all fuck in the dark. But anyway, Snow White does what Snow White does. She offers her last bit of food to the deer, makes friends with the deer, and now all the woodland creatures come out, and they're all her friends, and they're all protective of her and love her, and this, that, and the other, and they lead her to the dwarves' cottage, and they're not home, so she's just kind of looking around, and finds the beds, and goes and curls up across like 3 of them, and now we finally see the dwarves for the first time, because then it cuts over to the diamond mine, which is kind of roller coastery in this. I don't know why, but I guess it is. I'm not the one who made it. I guess for visual interest, probably more than anything. But one of the critiques I've heard other people say about this is the uncanny valley that the dwarves are CGI'd into. I actually would like to counter that and say I disagree. I don't feel they fall into uncanny valley except for Happy. Happy kinda does. But not all of the time. But there's a few shots where it's like, he's making me uncomfortable. But the other 6 are fine. Consistently. Now, in the original, the main dwarf seems to be Doc. In this version, the main one that we get the most screen time with is Dopey. Spoiler, Dopey is not a mute in this. Or at least, by the end of it, he is not. He apparently can speak perfectly fine and has just chosen not to all this time. Because he's scared. Okay. I mean, I guess it at least, like, explains it in a way for today's audiences who are probably like, why doesn't he just talk? Well, there you go. He does in this one. But they rewrote some of the lyrics of Hi-Ho to, like, introduce the dwarves one by one, followed with I know, with, like, it's like, oh, okay, interesting choice. Not mad at it, actually. I feel it does serve a purpose in teaching the different dwarves. So, that, plus it extends the very catchy song. So, alright, not mad at it. The CGI on the gems could have been done better. They were very cartoony looking. Like, really, really cartoony looking. For as good as some of the other CGI stuff came off looking, I was a little disappointed with that. I'm not gonna lie. Thought they could have done better there. I'm being objective here. But, most of it, literally fine, though. These dwarves bicker a whole lot more than the original ones, by the way, but I also feel that's probably more realistic. Now, I'm also going to spoiler a thing, in that, let us not forget, there was the whole controversy that, like, the CGI dwarves mean that, like, 7 little people got screwed out of jobs in this, and there was originally that, like, one early cast shot with, like, 7 guys that apparently were, like, actual humans that were supposed to be the dwarves. Spoiler, they both coexist in this. They're still very much in this movie, but they're not dwarves, okay? They're bandits. There just happens to be 7 of them. Were they originally going to be the dwarves? I don't know. Maybe, but I have a feeling they were always meant to be exactly what they are. It's kind of interesting watching them interact with one another. I'll give you that. It's kind of like that whole Mary Poppins thing of, like, the real-life actors with the animated, but it's okay, though, and it adds, like, a touch of whimsy to it that I kind of like. I feel like the costuming for Rachel Zegler in this, by the time it gets to the iconic Snow White dress, when you look at it against the backgrounds, I'm like, I can't put my finger on what, but something about it feels out of place. Even though it is technically the correct dress and everything, and the correct colors, I'm like, I feel like for a live-action version of this, perhaps we should have, like, muted down the yellow just, like, a little. Not a lot. Like, I'm not talking about make it pastel or anything, but just a little bit, because it stands out so badly against the backgrounds that it almost takes you out of the moment a bit for it, in my opinion. But the flip side of the coin here is because it is so faithful to the animated one, that just seeing a real-life version of it look that much like the animated one, this is gonna sound stupid, I actually got choked up as soon as I first saw it, because I was like, oh my god, my childhood dreams, like, just came to life on the screen. It's real! The dress is real! Oh my god! You have no idea how badly I wanted a Snow White dress as a kid. Like an actual, genuine, look like it, correct colors and all one. I had like an off-brand neon colors version, but that's not the same, especially when you're as nitpicky as I am. That's not good enough. But anyway, I digress. So I am finding it of a mixed bag that it is both that accurate to the original, but also, at the same time, in relation to everything around her, feels out of place. So, there's that. Now, one thing that caught my attention when it came to the whole housework scene in the movie, Snow White is not the one really doing all of it. She's actually delegating it to the dwarves, which makes sense since it is quite literally their house. She is just teaching them how to keep it. I think she, like, pitches in a little around the edges, but it's mostly her getting them to do all of it. Which is fine, and actually probably a better message than the original of just have a woman come in and fix it all for a bunch of men, so there's that. Are there feministy vibes in this? Yes, but not is, like, beat you over the head with them badly as people made this out to sound like it was gonna be. Because if it had really been as obnoxious as people made this sound like it was gonna be, I don't know that I could have hung with it. But the level it's at, I'm like, this is fine. This is literally fine. So, when Rachel said that she's not dreaming of love in this version of Snow White, and that she doesn't end up with the prince, she is not lying. Because there is no prince. That is not to say that she does not fall in love, and that she does not get married at the end, because, yes, she does, just not to a prince. It's actually to a bandit. Specifically the one that was stealing potatoes, but... Anyway, most of the movie, at least in the first half, follows the original animated one. Pretty much beat for beat, but also throws in their own stuff, like the whole thing with the apple pies and such. So, okay, fine. First half of it, I was like, this actually has really good potential. Why are people hating on this movie so damn badly? And then we reach hour 2. And it's like they suddenly forgot the assignment. And suddenly it turns into Glee as if it were on the CW. If that makes any kind of sense. So, if you get what I'm talking about here, good. Because I don't know another way to describe it more accurately than that. Is it still watchable? Sure. But it's like, there is definitely a tipping point where it's like, good. And then it falls off a fucking cliff. And I'm like, what just happened? And why are, like, half the characters not even, like, period correct clothing all of a sudden? What the actual crap is going on? That's what I mean by it felt like they kind of forgot the assignment at one point. But it's okay, because by the end of it, it does all pull back together and ends up fine. But there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, it's not without its problems. It's not without its problems. Because there's still plenty of things I can and will critique here. But, that said, is it worthy of all the hate people are giving it? No. No. Not nearly as much. A little bit. But most of what people are throwing at, I'm like, oh, come on, it's not that bad. Jeez. These are the people who clearly did not see Pinocchio. But anyway. Or Dumbo. Or, let me rattle off some other ones that were pretty bad. Anyway, you get my drift. There's a lot of worse even Disney live actions that were way worse than this. So, I don't know. It follows mostly, still beat for beat, although with the additional characters thrown in. There's alterations to accommodate the new characters that they threw in. Like the Sing Happy Song, that one. Instead of, like, being just like a dance number with the dwarves themselves inside their cabin, now it's outside. Now it's almost like a German beer garden all of a sudden, and the bandits are invited to it. It's like a whole thing. And then there's, like, a big, intense chase scene, because the queen sends her guards to go find Snow White, because apparently she found out she's still alive. Instead of using a pig's heart in the box this time, he put an apple in the box. Because I'm sure she'll never know the difference between a heart and an apple, right? But I guess they didn't want to be gross, and also, it's one of those things where this is a kid's movie, and is a kid gonna know the difference between a pig's heart and a human heart? Probably not, so, I get it, but anyway. Yeah, so there's all that going on. And it's like kind of becomes known during this that Snow White actually loves that bandit and vice versa. But knowing that the queen is very much after her and wants her head, probably literally, the bandits are trying to throw off the guards that are out for her. Snow White's supposed to be laying low in the cabin. The dwarves go off to work. This goes down exactly the way it does in the first one where, you know, the queen does the whole spell, make herself an haggard old woman, poisons the apple, goes to bring it to her, but instead of it just being like a random apple offered to her, now it's through the guise of an old woman who's old enough to remember Snow White's father. And her. And the apple pies that they used to bring the townspeople. Townspeople! That's the word I couldn't think of earlier. There we go! Alright, sorry. See, it eventually kicks in. But anyway. So she says that she remembers it, and she wants to be able to repay the favor in some small way. Although she doesn't have much, she has this apple. Here, please will you accept this apple? It's all I have to give. So she takes the apple, and she pressures her to bite it, and obviously she gets poisoned, and down she goes pretty quickly, although not as, like, instantaneous as the original. Like, there's a whole... She has time to feel the effects of it and realize, oh shit, this is the evil queen. This is not just some old woman. Oh my god, I've been had. Fuck. Basically. Obviously, not in those words, but it's the sentiment. Meanwhile, the woodland creatures are trying to run and get the dwarves' attention, but it's too late. So there's the whole traditional Snow White funeral scene, although they don't make her like a glass coffin in this. They kind of just lay her out on a rock and like make a, not a gazebo exactly, but whatever you would call it, made out of flowers over it and flowers around her. And around this point is when the bandit comes back and he's all sad and he's looking at her corpse, or supposed corpse, and he kisses her and she wakes up just like always, and it's Snow White. What are you expecting? So, anyway, they get married at the end, although interesting choice that her wedding dress is literally just her normal dress, but all in white. I guess she's only allowed to wear one style of dress. For reasons. Okay. So, that's a whole thing. But I guess that makes the bandit a prince if he's marrying her. But if the evil queen's been done away with, then wouldn't that... Oh, I forgot. So after... I almost forgot one of the most pivotal things here that's different. Before they marry, but after she's been awakened with the kiss, they're going to go confront the evil queen. Oh yes, they are. And it's a whole thing. She has the townspeople behind her and everything. And of course, the queen's like, oh, you want my power? Take it. And offers her a glass dagger to kill her with. Because just like earlier in the film, when she tried to make a point of teaching her, the people don't want a rose. Roses are beautiful. But roses die. They want a diamond. Diamonds are tough. Diamonds are unbreakable. Da-da-da-da-da. And she's kind of being a shit. So now she's, like, also demonstrated the rose thing to the townspeople again. But now she has the glass, or I guess the diamond dagger, offers to Snow White. Obviously Snow White is too fair to actually stab her. So the queen takes it back and she's gonna go stab Snow. Except for the fact that, yeah, no. The guards get a hold of Snow and she starts talking to them one by one and saying, I remember you, and telling them about their lives from before and details of them, and basically gets through to them to where, yeah, they're not gonna kill her. And they all kind of turn on the queen in and of that moment, and the queen just runs off. She's not killed, she literally just runs off. I guess it leaves it open for a Snow White too, I don't know. But, what we're not supposed to know is that she runs off into the damn castle! She is still very much in there! Shouldn't you have been run off the other direction? Run off into the sunset where we never have to see or think about you again? That is, like, my other big nitpick of this. It's like, excuse me, but Were we not supposed to notice that she literally ran back in the fucking castle? Okay, whatever. But yes, then Snow White has her wedding, and that is the end of it. Da-da-da-da-da. There is no, like, end credits cutscene or anything. Trust me, I very awkwardly sat there in the theater waiting for one. House lights came up and I realized I was the only person sitting there waiting for one. I was like, oh, I guess I will just see myself out now. But, anyway. It is not worth the hate that it's getting. This is actually watchable, believe it or not. Believe it or not. Again, I wouldn't call it great by any measure. I'm not sure I would even call it good. But it's decent. It's about as decent as, like, any of the live-action Disney ones are. There have been a couple of standouts that have actually been great, but most of them have not. This is kind of just, like, the average level of them. It'll probably be forgotten in about a minute, just like most of them. But is it, like, the worst thing? No, not at all. I mean, like, on a grading scale of, like, 1 to 5, I'd probably still give it, like, a 2.5. But again, it's not without its problems. There is a lot of things I would improve if this were my version of it, but it's not. So meeting it where it's at, for what it is, I'm not mad at it like I thought I was going to be. I thought I was going to hate this. I thought I was going to come in here both barrels blazing. I thought for $6, because it was half price Tuesday, you know what, it'll be worth it to watch this thing just so I can totally make the hater video about it. And then here I am not making a hater video about it. Actually, I'm like, I kind of liked it. Kind of. Not fully, but I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. But then again, the bar was so freaking low. There was only 2 possible outcomes here. 1, it could have actually been as bad as people are saying, which it's not. Or 2, with the bar being that low, the only place to go from there is up. So with the expectation being on the freaking floor, it doesn't take much to exceed the expectation, right? So in that regard, I'm almost grateful that I went in expecting it to be like the worst thing I've ever seen. Because actually, like, very quickly, I was like, wait a minute. This is not what people are saying about it at all. And I have seen a couple of outliers basically say what I'm saying, in that this is not worthy of all the hate it's getting. One person actually said, after seeing this, now I understand why Disney does live-action versions of some of the movies. And you know what? I agree with that person. Because when they add context, when they add backstory, when they fill in the gaps in the original that were left wide open, that everybody kind of knew were there, but we just were like, don't think about it too hard as a Disney movie. I actually like when they fill in those gaps. Are they canonical? Who knows? But, like, at least they offer an explanation in this version of the tale. So at least for this version of Snow White, they are canonical. And that's fine. Like, I have no issue with that. And I kind of like having some of those answers answered, you know? Because there's a lot of gaps in the original Snow White. Like, a lot of gaps in it. As much as I love it, I am the first to admit it. So I kind of like that this one has, like, a whole other element to it. Like, we get to see her parents. The original, we never saw either of them. I mean, obviously it's implied that she must have had them at some point. She exists, so she must have had parents, but we don't know what their story was. This answers that. This kind of outlines what basically the plan for her life was supposed to look like. Granted, it got undermined, but then she got it back on track by the end. I like that, actually. I think that was kind of a cool element that they added to this. So why would I be mad at that? Like, I genuinely think the people who are hating on it either, one, have not actually watched it. You'd be surprised how many people review a thing that way who have not even watched the thing. Or two, they literally just have beef with Rachel Zegler because of the way she has acted outside of the film itself, which, again, I'm not excusing any of that. Not one bit. But taking the film for what it is on its own, meeting it where it's at. I don't think people should be hating nearly so hard on this. It's basically your run-of-the-mill live-action Disney film. Take it or leave it. It is what it is. I have to admit, I was kind of stoked that I didn't hate it after all of that. And now I feel silly for having been just dreading it coming out so much because I was so worried they were going to absolutely ruin my fave. But much in the way of, like, the Little Mermaid one, and how much I was very protective over that for similar reasons, and then watched it and ended up loving it. Same with the Beauty and the Beast one. I'm glad that this falls in the same camp where I'm like, you know what? I went in highly critical, but I walked away having had a good time and enjoying it. So, it is what it is. And I know a lot of people were waiting to hear what I specifically was going to say about this particular one, knowing that I fangirl as hard over Snow White as I do. So, I don't know, after having walked away from that, I am actually a little more open to the idea of finally watching the live-action Lady and the Tramp. I revisited the trailer last night. About 50% of it, just like the first time I watched it years ago when it was brand new. Sobbing, just out of, oh my god, it's so beautiful, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And then the CGI dogs start talking, I'm like, no. What have you done to my babies? What did you do to them? So, I'm still not totally signed up for it yet, but I'm at least marginally more open to the idea of it at this point. We'll see. I ain't there yet, though, so anyway. But yeah, 2.5 out of 5. Not nearly as bad a rating as I think we thought I was gonna give it. So there you go. Do you need to go see it while it's in theaters? You could probably just wait till it hits Disney Plus, and I mean, given the ticket sales on this thing, I don't think it's gonna take that long for it to hit Disney Plus, if I'm being honest with you. But, again, I think it's one of those things that, with the expectation being so low for this thing, if you just give it a chance and just meet it where it's at, I think you're gonna be surprised that this isn't that bad. It's really not. So anyway, those are my 2 cents. Take them or leave them. So anyways, that's it for this one. And as usual, you know what to do. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe. Hit that notification bell icon so you never miss an upload. Leave comments down below. Make sure you're following my social media accounts, my Facebook fan page, my Twitter, my Instagram, my eBay, my Reddits, everything and more is all down below. And if you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to help support it, the donation link, as always, is down in the description. Get your name on the end card for a month from the time of donating. Anyway, guys, till next time, see ya.